you. Mr. Brown, just 2.5 months ago, it was revealed that your 18-month-old son, Colby, may not be your biological child, even though you currently have full custody.
Yes, Your Honor.
Today, you've dragged Ms. Stewart to court to prove that you are Colby's father because you fear if you are not, you will lose him for good.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Stewart, you admit you kept the secret from Mr. Brown, but claim the truth is the truth. And the fact is, you were secretly cheating on him, and you appear in court today to prove that the other man is the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Brown, tell us, what's at stake for you today?
Everything's at stake, Your Honor. My whole entire family knows him as theirs. I have 2 grandmas that have Alzheimer's that know him as their grandsons. My 14-year-old son knows him as his little brother. My house is a more stable home for him. It's a place where he's taken care of, and I know it's the better thing for him.
So, Ms. Stewart, you're saying that you know for certain that he's not Mr. Brown's biological child.
I'm 100% sure he's not the father.
And you understand what's at stake, though. You understand that Mr. Brown is saying he has a healthy, happy up...
You were trying to take my son away from me, and that's what you did, exactly. Rip my son from my life, from my home. And when the results are say that you are not the father, I am leaving today with my son. That is guaranteed.
You're so confident.
Yeah, I am confident because he don't look like you. He don't look like anybody else in the family. He looks like the supposed father and the other supposed father's other baby.
What did you say exactly to Mr. Brown that day?
I'm just upset and hurt because he took my son from me. And that is when I told him, texted him, said, okay, I said, he is not your son. I know I should have told you in the long run, but that is not your son.
That was after she lived in my household for over 3 years and mooched off my family.
No, I never mooched off your family. It's more like your family was given to me. They're being generous.
Miss Stewart, why did you wait so long to tell him? Like, why not tell him before so he would have never had the child in the first place?
Because, Your Honor, I really truly believe that my son was Mr. Brown's. Because at that time, yes, I went to another friend to comfort me. Because at this time, Mr. Brown and I had decided to take a break. So I went in that time and talked to a friend like I always do. Comfort and friends. And one thing led to another, and my son was conceived June 13th. So honestly, when my son was born, my son did look like Mr. Brown. And it looked like the son of his family. So that is why I have withheld, because I was happy, I was in love with him, and the fact that my son was going to be raised up in a good environment and good home, thinking that I had a good man on my hands.
What changed?
What changed was when he decided to take my son from me.
So you broke up, and then he wanted custody.
Yes.
So if you had stayed in the relationship, would you have ever told him that this may not be his child?
No, because I honestly, because being with a good man like Mr. Brown.
Same thing.
Is this that you don't believe he's the father, or you're just unhappy that you broke up and he took the child?
No, I believe that he is not the father of my son. I'm 1,000% sure. And I know the truth needed to come out. It should have been sooner than later, but it came out.
What was your reaction, Mr. Brown? You're lying, I don't believe that? Or did you think, well, yeah, you were kind of getting missing back then?
I was dumbfounded, Your Honor. I was dumbfounded. I didn't know what to think. I mean...
So, Mr. Brown, you have a witness. I'd like to hear from her. Please stand, ma'am. State your name.
Sarah Teskey.
Miss Teskey, thank you for joining us. You are...
I'm his girlfriend.
This is between me and Mr. Brown. Not me and Miss Teskey and Mr. Brown.
Well, Miss Teskey takes care of your son, you don't.
Yeah, and Miss Teskey ain't supposed to be around our son.
Okay. All right. Now I know what it's about. Moving forward.
Miss Teskey is supposed to be around anybody on Ray JT.
Moving forward.
Yeah.
Moving forward. So, Miss Teskey, what
son.
do you have to add? What do you know about this situation?
Well, I know that right now I am both emotionally and financially involved in this whole situation. I love this man with all my heart. I know that he loves Colby with all his heart. He takes very good care of him. He's the best father in the world to that little boy, and I know this is going to devastate him completely if that's not his son. And I know the other gentleman that is supposedly the father. I've known him for a couple years, actually, and I've actually talked to him, so I do know that they have slept together because he did admit that to me. He didn't tell me around the time frame.
I've raised that little boy for 18 months, almost 19 months. That little
Well-
boy's my world. That little boy's going home with me tonight.
No, he's not, because he's going home with me. When it determines that that you are not the father, he is going home with me today.
Ms. Stewart, you do understand if there is a custody order in effect, you could get into a little bit of trouble if you try to just take your son. I mean, one thing we can say is it is your son. So I want to caution you to not do anything out of emotion or just to stick it to Mr. Brown, revenge. That will put your freedom in jeopardy. Because then, what are you going to do? He's going to go right back to Mr. Brown's. You have to handle things the right way, even as hard as it may be. I see this is making you very emotional, and I know, as a mother, it must be difficult to be without your son.
It is. It's so sad that you don't let me have a one-on-one with my son.
No, because
you don't
she's
let me
already
take
told-
my son for a weekend. Every mom should have every right to have their son for a weekend. And, you know, I do have every right. That boy is my world. And it's like you guys don't give a crap about how I feel or how it feels to not have my son. But
I know exactly how you feel. I know exactly how you feel.
No, you don't, because
Yes,
if you
I
did,
do.
then you would understand and
Yes,
tell
I
Mr.
do.
Brown that I should have every right to that boy.
Because where are you living at and where's he living at right now? And you know that's what's best for him.
If Mr. Brown is not the biological father today, does the other gentleman, does he want to be involved in Colby's life?
Your Honor, I've talked to the supposed other father. He said he would, if the results came out that Mr. Brown was not the father, then he would like to step up and be there and do what he can.
All right, I think it's time for the results, Jerome. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Brown versus Stewart, when it comes to 15-month-old Colby Brown, it has been determined by this court Mr. Brown, you are not the father.
I told you. I told you.
Mr. Brown, you need to sit down. You need to take a seat. I'm so sorry.
I just don't understand how someone could do that to somebody. 18 months. It's a long time. It's a long time. He's still my boy.
Ms. Stewart, you said all along that you didn't believe he was Mr. Brown's biological child.
No.
And you know for certain it is this other gentleman.
Yes, Your Honor.
That he's the father. He's on the birth certificate. There's no other way to cut it. This cake is baked. So you can't just remove the child from his home. You're going to have to go through the process. And even if the court determines that he remain in his home, the court has that discretion. And let me give you a news flash. If you've ever handled anything in the court system, you know it's not going to happen overnight.
No.
Right?
Right.
Right.